Welcome, I'm Dr. Robert Whipple, and this is Online Dispute Resolution. During this lecture, I'm going over the development of an Online Dispute Resolution Self-Efficacy Scale, or ODRSES. The purpose of the ODRSES is to explore the different skills necessary to resolve online disputes and to improve ODR curriculum. The research focus of this study was exploring ODR self-efficacy by developing a scale that measures specific skills and perceived barriers. The specific research questions were: 1. What skills are necessary to successfully conduct ODR? 2. What are the barriers to ODR faced by experienced alternative dispute resolution practitioners? 3. How important is ODR self-efficacy in relationship to actual ODR standards of practice? The reasons this research is significant is because, first, many alternative dispute resolution professionals are reluctant to use ODR. Second, there's no way to measure right now how someone feels about using ODR. Third, to develop empirical research to drive ODR curriculum. And fourth, to create a tool to aid in online mediator selection and case development. The theoretical background used for this study is the social cognitive learning theories of Dr. Albert Bandura. According to Dr. Bandura, if a person believes they can accomplish a task, they are more likely to be able to succeed. The application here is if an ADR practitioner can have a vision of success with ODR, it is more likely to be integrated into their practice. I will briefly review the literature review. First, few ODR programs currently exist. Research on ODR has been concentrated on online negotiations, and there hasn't been much empirical research on ODR training. However, extensive research has been conducted that correlates perceived self-efficacy in a task and actual task performance. The research methodology that I used for this study was a mixed methods approach. A mixed method approach takes both qualitative and quantitative data and triangulates it. I started by conducting a series of questions in a Blackboard discussion group. And the questions were asking vague things like what skills are necessary to resolve online disputes. I then took the threaded discussion groups and categorized them into a list of specific skills. And I think I had about 60 or 70 items at first. Then students and I worked in a threaded discussion group to narrow these down and eliminate repetitive questions. From that, I coded and chunked the items and created a scale. And students took the scale And from that, I refined it even more and ran a few statistical analysis to test the scale for validity and reliability. The students who participated in the study were in a Master of Arts program in Negotiation, Conflict Resolution, and Peace Building at California State University, Dominguez Hills. The students came from a diverse racial and ethnic background. Two cohorts of students were used in the study. The first was in an online dispute resolution class in 2004, and the second was from a communications and conflict class in 2006. All of the students had taken distance learning courses and were familiar with alternative dispute resolution methods. Four general themes emerged from the research. First, alternative dispute resolution skills that could be reframed for an ODR environment. Second, technology skills. Third, cultural issues. And fourth, fear and barrier issues. The ADR skills reframed for an ODR environment included facilitating text, audio, and video meetings, establishing trust and neutrality during online meetings, and maintaining a balance of power. The technology skills that emerged were negotiation support systems, such as Smart Settle, and there's a lot of different decision-making tools involved in ODR, and the students involved in developing the scale thought that using these systems were important. The other two was being able to provide online technical assistance and using language translation software. I had initially had questions about this, and after repeatedly giving the scale to many different students, I have found that these items are not significant in the scale, and they don't really fit within the inner item correlations, so these items could actually be dropped without affecting the reliability of the scale. Cultural issues. The cultural issues that emerged were sensing emotions without seeing body language, managing neutrality while validating the disputant's cultural issues, and a lot of these had to do with social economic status and religious beliefs. Another one was the culturally anonymous disputants, and this took many different categories and lumped it into one. And lastly is predicting a disputant's willingness to reach an agreement without reading body language. And this also took a lot of different threads and lumped it together. Also, one thing that we had a struggle with power issues, whether it would go into the cultural issues or applying alternative dispute resolution skills to ODR. However, we had decided we would put them in the applying ADR because power issues come up in many mediations and negotiations of people of the same culture. Fear and barrier issues were not actually skills. However, being able to overcome these fears and barriers to ODR were skills. And The first three, inflammatory language, attacks on mediator credibility, and language differences, seem to be a challenge to ODR. On arbitrated decision making, some of the people who participated in developing the scales had an issue with making arbitrated decisions because their background was mediation and they did not feel comfortable making a decision for the parties, and they had philosophical differences with mediation, arbitration, online dispute resolution model. So this one is kind of could go in the scale or it may not go in the scale, but it's a comfort issue with an online dispute resolution process. I conducted several different quantitative tests, and you can read about these in the actual research. And the development of this scale was actually a learning exercise for students within a class, and it allowed students to critically analyze skills needed to conduct ODR by using a scientific process to develop a scale. Students created and discussed items as they occurred during their online simulations, and we found that ODR had educational applications beyond merely resolving commercial and community disputes, such as providing an alternative format for dialogue among distance learning students. During this lecture, I have gone over the development of an online dispute resolution self-efficacy scale. Take care. See you soon. Some questions that evolved for future research. First, what is the optimal way to measure ODR skills? Second, how do we really know if an ADR practitioner is ready to facilitate ODR? Third, what are the pedagogical and andragogical values of ODR as a curricular model to stimulate higher order thinking skills among students of law, business, social services, and behavior? And lastly, what should professors, teachers, and educational administrators know about ODR?